What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here at Highland Brewery Front 9. We're playing the shorts again for another Highland putter review. This time with an interesting choice of putter. This is the Wren from Stokely Disc Golf. Scott Stokely bought a couple of molds, bought an injection machine, started having his own discs produced, and this is the putter that he chose. It feels very P2-esque, maybe a slightly softer shoulder, but definitely nowhere near an AVR. This feels like a tiny bit shallower P2. Feels really good, and this plastic is the Strato plastic. It's stiff, but it still has grip, which is amazing. I don't find a lot of putters that do that. This is cool, and we're gonna see how it handles today. Hole number 1, 216 feet, right there at the bottom of the hill, soft little backhand. Wasn't super soft, that was more like an ace run. So at the shop when I went to go pick it up, they had a P2 and it felt so similar. And since I love to putt with P2s, I put both of them on the counter, and the shoulder and the parting line is basically identical. This just feels slightly shallower. I don't know why. It's an interesting feel. It has the P2 shoulder that I love, but it feels more like a 3-speed as far as depth is concerned. It's not really the deep P2 that I'm used to, but maybe it's the same depth that I'm just, because it's a different plastic, I'm not used to it. Let's keep throwing it. Let's make some birdies. I got a birdie putt coming up right here. I did not leave myself a real easy look at it, but first putt of the day felt pretty good. I think this thing's gonna fly. Sweet. Not good for our chances at par or a birdie, because it moved back to the long. So 285 feet, gonna have to rip it. We'll really get to see the integrity of not only the Wren itself, but also this the Strato plastic. I mean, I hit that so hard, it did not flip up. That's a good disc right there. Integrity of this disc, because that's where I hit the tree, and there's a little mar in the surface. Baby warpage. Like that was coming out upper 40s, maybe 50 mile an hour. Yeah, it's pretty good plastic. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty decent. Let's see if I can get closer. I don't normally throw my putting putters, and this plastic is grippy enough to be one of my putting putters. And it's kind of sticking to my fingers. I'm having to like almost try to early release it just for it to come out at the right time. It's really grippy. It would be great for putting. Not necessarily the best if you're trying to hit gaps. But because of how grippy it is, it pops really clean off the hand. Hole 3 is still in the long here though, so I could try to lace the gap, but I think I need more airspace. I'm gonna go for the big high sky anhyzer, and it seems pretty neutral, but it seems to hold whatever line you put it on, so it's not really hyzer flipping. It's not turning on its own. I'm gonna have to actually throw it there. It's not just gonna turn into the gap for me. I'm gonna have to actually put it on anhyzer. Had a little in-flight stability, or it was just starting to pan out and possibly even fade, very similar to a brand new P2. And that's mostly from the amount of anhyzer I put on it. So, or not anhyzer, nose up. When I'm throwing those big high sky turnover shots with a putter, I tend to put a lot of nose up on it just so that it doesn't just burn over. And so if you have a newer putter, it will fade a little bit at the very end of its flight. Now I'm obstructed because I caught a branch. Forget everything. It's not really any easier from over here. I thought it would hyzer a little more than that. It is very neutral. It's not quite P2 stability. It's more like an AVR stability with the feel of a P2, if that makes sense. Hole 4, 269. Let's see if we can get all the way there. And this time I'm going to hang it a little bit further to the right, hopefully, than I did on hole 2. Because it's going to hold the hyzer, so throw the hyzer and try to throw to hit the fence, but the hyzer should pull it off the fence. Oh, that came out so clean. I just didn't have any air under it. A little bit higher and that would have been perfect. I'm still at the bottom of the hill, but I'm past the short pin, which is pretty good for a putter. Let's see if I can get some air under it when I'm putting. Bit off on the releases today, but I always putt a little bit worse if I did it after work. So yeah, I'm gonna chalk it up to I did it after work, and so I'm just really not good at disc golf when I play after work. Hole number 5, we're up on this ridge, so you get a lot more of a breeze up here, but I think it's more of a tailwind. So I am gonna have to commit to the anhyzer on this release. 230 feet, bending around to the right and slightly uphill. Give it some air, give it some anhyzer, and just throw it smooth. I think I pured it. Well, it was too high to make it through the wide gap, but I turned it just enough to make it through the higher inside gap. And look where we are. It's just a putt. Just putt it. It's not a weird putter. Just putt. It's fine. Well, this is fun. Basket's back in the long pin position here. It's been on the mound for so long. It's straight. It is before you get to the volleyball courts. So before the sand, it's 260 feet, but it's downhill, so it really doesn't play like 260. But I am gonna have to throw it a little bit. Because if I don't throw it a little bit, I'm gonna definitely hit a tree. Yeah, I need to throw that a little bit more. It definitely feels like a putter that loves one angle shots and it doesn't really like flying flat. It likes either Anheuser or Heiser, and it wants to be on one of them. And it's really hard for me to throw it flat. So I have hole 8 to throw it flat on, and hopefully I can do it. How about that for a standing run? Feels like it likes to be thrown into the basket. Doesn't really like the floaty style. And I think it's because of the plastic. It feels a little bit, it just feels heavier. It feels more dense. And it's the same weight as my putting putters, but it feels heavier. It feels like there's more plastic that I'm holding on to for some reason. And so I kind of have to give it some, give it the juice to be able to even reach the basket. Hole 7, 264. This is going to be a one angle shot if I can keep it on Heiser and push it straight enough. Similar to what we were trying to do on hole 4. But this time it's a little bit easier to keep it, well, a little bit more important that you keep it high. Well, good slide, but I'm having, this is interesting because when I throw this putter on Heiser, it flies flat to nose down, even when I'm holding it with my other grip. That's so interesting. Because when I throw P2s, doesn't matter if they're Heiser and Heiser, they don't fly nose down. This one is just, it's coming out so linear, it's not getting any lift. It's so interesting. Yeah, it needs like an Isaac Robinson style putt. It just needs to, you need to get it there. It likes to be thrown hard, which honestly makes a lot of sense, being that Scott Stokely is still one of the furthest throwers in the world, and he's in like his 60s or 70s. So a putter that he makes likes to be thrown hard. That completely tracks now that I think about it. Not necessarily that I'm throwing it any harder, but that it seems to explode off my hand. So I'm throwing it about the same amount, and for some reason it's just like, instead of just putter flights, it is just going straight there. It's a really interesting concept for a putter. Something that doesn't float but still feels like a putter. It's so weird. Hole number 8, 199 feet, right there at the bottom of the hill. I am gonna try, I think I'm gonna try to fan grip it and get a little bit of a softer toss. We'll see what soft looks like when you have a Wren in your hand. I mean, it was tracking a good line. From that throw there, it definitely is stable. Because it came out on Anheuser and started to fade. Sorry, now you're looking at me. But even on fan grip, it flew like I threw it hard. Which is just, I don't know how to be soft with this putter. It wants to explode off my hand. And I'm sure that's a great thing when you're really confident at putting. And maybe I would get more confident if my putter just exploded into the basket every time I tossed it. But it's not what I'm used to, so it's so, I'm in my head about it. I just am. Do the shadows make the hill look steep? That's because the hill is steep. It's really difficult to see on camera just how steep some of these slopes are, but for some reason the shadows make it really stand out. Probably because you have shadows going at one angle and trees going at a very different angle. That went past. How did that go past? Hopefully I hit this and not you, because that thing comes out hot. That was so scary. Let's see if I can make the putt still. We had just gotten to even par as well. So 1 over, going into hole number 9. This putter is kind of unlike any other putter I've ever thrown, which is why I don't really know how to explain what is happening. When I first grabbed it, I thought this is going to be amazing. I might even have a P2 replacement, and I could support, you know, small businesses and people that help to grow the sport. But I don't think this is for me. I like my little soft spin putt that I do, and it doesn't really work with this putter. I think it's because of how grippy and how stiff it is, that you get the grip to really pop it with your fingers, which I'm used to getting grip on putters that shouldn't have that much spin coming on them, and I'm used to getting spin on those putters. But because of it's stiff, it also pops out of your hand. I think that's why it just explodes when I throw it. It's so interesting. It's really cool. And if you are a confident putter and you want to have a putter that goes where you want it to go, and you are precise and exact with your putt, the Wren might be for you. Also, if you're somebody that's like, you don't really feel super confident at putting and you're always kind of lobbing it, get something like this and just putt it a little bit more direct, and I think your game might drastically improve. This is a great putter, just not what I was anticipating or looking for. Oh my goodness. It's a great disc. Hole number 9, 203 feet. Let's see if we can take a birdie on the last hole and get back to even par. I have a chance that might have strained out too much though. Chance comes down to making a 20-foot putt, which is like my worst putting distance ever. That's even par. If you're looking for a laser beam straight putter, well, not straight, but it goes exactly where you're placing it, the Wren might be the disc for you. It is not the disc for me, unfortunately. It's a great putter, and it'd be really fun to play around with some in some other rounds, but just not for me, not today. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to like the video. If you want to see something else, make sure to comment that down below. And please make sure to subscribe for the subscriber-only giveaways, and it definitely helps me out. Until next time, see you out on the course.